Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to begin on page 10, welcoming ourselves and each other, the words of Hine Ma Tov. And as you can see, I am a one-woman rabbi band tonight, which means that everyone will need to raise their voices with me. Page 10, Hine Ma Tov. Pedro's going to... טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. We turn back in our prayer books, page 2. As we prepare to light our Shabbat candles, if you think about it, last week was our Shabbat of Hanukkah, when we had all of the lights lit, and the week before we were preparing for Hanukkah, and so it may actually feel like a little bit less light, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. There's always the promise of more light. Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik neh shel turn ahead in our prayer books, page 20, as we bring in Shabbat, we bring in this new week, and as we will experience tomorrow night, we actually get to bring in a new secular year. We'll sing the words of Lecha Dodi together, page 20. I'll turn the slides, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. La 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 Kabbalah, one more time. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Turn ahead, page 146, and I'll invite you to please rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Page 147, we join together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishbro tehem barakira kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world together. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to... Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. We chant together on page 150. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Page 153, we find a prayer that comes each evening. It was a time, actually, just like right now, when it was very dark outside, and the rabbis of old lived in times even more uncertain than we did. There were uncertainties about safety. You would recite this prayer when you were on a journey and it was nighttime. And it's interesting that we actually the prayer doesn't ask for light. The prayer asks for safety, and it asks for an idea of a comforting presence from God. So we often think about that as light, but on a night, it's not too cold, but on a dark night like tonight, we might lean in a little bit more to our Hashkivenu prayer, praying for whatever kind of comfort, whatever kind of structure would make us feel safe and warm on a night like tonight. We pray, give us a place to rest, O God. Bring us shelter in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all that we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai. Haporei Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 155, we find the blessings of the Amidah, and I invite you to please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imachot, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל, אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל HaKadosh. Please be seated. At this point in our Amidah, we take a moment to think of those in our community and in our world who are in need of healing, to say a Mishaberach Lecholim, a prayer of healing for all those who are sick. This Shabbat, we send our thoughts and we send our prayers to Cindy Baker, Bob Broder, to Ada Barbara Corvelli, Janice Cummins, Bill Foster, Marcy Goldsmith, Julie Levine, Naomi Batsara, to Alfred Marcus, and to Judy Zucker. To those names, we add anyone that we are holding in our own hearts, people that we may know are in need of physical healing, but also of spiritual guidance, a little bit of oomph when it's a little bit of a dark night of the soul. If there's anyone you're thinking of, feel free to share their name with our community now. Yeah, Alex. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Eileen. Thank you. Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei Cholim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, and we call you the healer of the sick. We join together in our prayer for healing, the Mishaberach.
Source
say Amen. From the healing of the body to peace for everybody in our world, page 164, our prayer for peace, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki Otahu Melech Adon, Lechol וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. A poem entitled, I Am the New Year. I am the new year. I am an unspoiled page in your book of time. I am your next chance at the art of living. I am your opportunity to practice what you have learned about life during the last 12 months. All that you sought and didn't find is hidden in me, waiting for you to search again, but this time with more determination. All the good that you tried for and didn't achieve is mine to grant when you have fewer conflicting desires. All that you dreamed but didn't do, all that you hoped but did not will, all the faith that you claimed but did not have, these slumber lightly, waiting to be awakened by the touch of a strong purpose. I am your opportunity to make all things new. On this Shabbat Eve that will lead us into New Year's Eve, we take a few moments to pray in silence. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I think we can do better than that. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Okay, and Shabbat Shalom to everybody who is watching us at home. I hope you are warm and safe and content, whether you are with family or with friends or together as a community. So as I have mentioned a couple of times, we find ourselves here on the last Shabbat of the secular year. It's a little bit of a moment of liminality. Even though we're in this year, we're almost in next year. And tomorrow at this time, we may find ourselves dressed up with family and friends, toasting with champagne flutes, or perhaps on the couch in our most beautiful of pajamas, preparing for, or maybe even dreading, this new year. But no matter how we celebrate or mark the day, there is something, almost every person I know does this. I bet that you are thinking about what your New Year's resolution will be. Maybe it's to work out more, or to stop eating some category of food, to quit something, to begin something, to put down your phone, to pick up a book. Whatever it is, resolutions are front and center of our minds this year and these days. It's interesting what it is about a new year that makes us eager to make a change. What is it about the simple and repetitive movement of time? The difference between 11:59 on one day and 12 or 12:01 a.m. on a different day that ignites within us the human desire to change and improve. Why do we make resolutions in the first place? Why do we want to change or improve or progress? And more importantly, why is it that we wait for these prescribed moments to do so? Well, one possibility might be the experience of the change of seasons. These past few weeks or so, it's either freezing cold and raining, and maybe even we're waiting for the snow, or like today, it's 50 degrees and we don't even need a jacket and we're somewhere in between. But we are in the midst of the darkest time of the whole year. As we know, Jews combat this literally by illuminating these days with the light and warmth of our Hanukkah candles, as if to say no darkness is too dark to hide what needs to be revealed. No one should be living in the shadows of fear or oppression or slavery. We reject the notion that darkness is a condition which cannot be remedied. So we light our candles, we cook up our fried reminders of ancient miracles, and we miraculously turn the darkness into light. Maybe even you felt a little bit sad to return your menorah to its yearly resting place, secretly wishing that we could light up every dark day with that kind of light. And of course, then the light continues, for we'll find ourselves standing in front of, even if it's just on the TV, an enormous floating orb. Its sole purpose is to announce the brand new year. We set our intentions so high as the clock turns to 12 o'clock midnight on January 1st. We make noise, we clink our glasses of bubbly, we kiss each other with the high hopes that within the next 365 days, we will do better, our communities will do better, our governments will do better, that we will somehow all be better. Perhaps this will be the year that everything we wish for will come true. Everything we yearn for in the deepest recesses of our hearts, everything will come to be. We get a little bit nostalgic on the eve of this new year, remembering where we were a year ago, or 3 years ago before the whole world changed, or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, remembering those resolutions made and broken, how much has changed, and yet how much hasn't changed. Judaism is funny because we actually have 4 New Years. We know we have Rosh Hashanah, of course, the big New Year. Anyone know the other New Years? A little Q&A. Passover is one of them, exactly. The first of Nisan is another one. Anyone know there's 2 others? Yes. Tu B'Shvat, excellent, Tu B'Shvat, and that's where we're going next, so very good. Tu B'Shvat. There's a 4th New Year in the Talmud, which actually is the first of Elul. It's the first of the month that precedes the High Holy Days. So there's one at Elul, there's one at Tishrei a month later, and then we have to wait all the way to Tu B'Shvat, and then we get one in the spring for Passover. So if you think sort of 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring, and they're basically 6 months apart. They're sort of bookend the year. So as the gentleman rightly said in the back of the sanctuary, in just a few weeks, in about 6 weeks, we will have our next Jewish New Year because it will be spring. Not spring here, but spring in our spiritual homeland. The Talmud describes this as a time when most of the winter rains are over. The sap has begun to rise and the fruit has begun to ripen. If you've ever been in Israel, this is a really, really cold time of year. And then there's actually a turning where suddenly it actually gets warmer many, many weeks before it's warm here. And that's why Tu B'Shvat always feels like it's the middle of the winter because we're not celebrating spring here, we're celebrating spring there. This time is in the Hebrew month of Shvat, when we celebrate the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, the 15th of the month of Shvat. On this day, it is customary to eat, for the very first time, a fruit from the new season, one that actually is typically not grown here. It's typically grown in the land of Israel. And some people will even have Tu B'Shvat seders, a situation where they sit and, like the Passover seder, they'll eat different fruits and say blessings. But the only thing you have to do is eat a new fruit and say the Shehachianu, the blessing that celebrates doing something for the very first time. In Israel today, Tu B'Shvat has come to celebrate and to symbolize the redemption of the land and even an awakening of environmental awareness through the planting of trees. The sapling, the idea of celebrating the growing of the tiniest of seeds, again proves our willingness to begin again, to seek out change, even when life, has been difficult and painful. What other people but the Israelites would have thought to plant trees in the arid climate of the Middle East and to metaphorically and physically make the desert bloom? In placing a delicate and tiny sapling into the cold ground, we acknowledge the transformative power of nature. We connect to the land that we live on. There's actually some people who have a tradition that they plant parsley seeds on Tu B'Shvat because it is the perfect gestational period to have parsley for your Passover Seder. So maybe that's a custom you may want to come to. Finally, the Torah never disappoints, and we are in the cycle of Torah reading right now that brings us to Egypt. Not Egypt in terms of slavery yet, but Egypt when Joseph lived there. When Joseph goes down as looking for food, first kidnapped by the traveling salespeople that his brothers sell him to, eventually rising in power in the Egyptian government. And in this Torah portion, we have the moment when Jacob realizes and gets to experience his son as alive after 17 years. We know that Egypt will eventually become a place of bondage where the cries of the Israelites, the hardening of Pharaoh's heart, and ultimately slavery, which we will, of course, celebrate the end of during Passover. This time in our Parsha is almost like foreshadowing. We're in this time, we're in Joseph's story, but we know that in just a few weeks, we will be back in Egypt. We will be back with the power and eventually into the power of redemption. It's only actually about 5 weeks when we will celebrate what we sang tonight, the idea of the splitting of the sea and redemption from slavery. That redemption is a kind of resolution as well. Each time we sing it, each time we pray, the redemption that we will reenact around our Seder tables in just a few months. Every time we feel enslaved, we can resolve to unharden our hearts. And each moment we feel stuck, we need only remind ourselves of the expansive freedom that exists on the other side of the open sea. So I ask you tonight a question that maybe someone will ask you tomorrow night, which is, what is your New Year's resolution? Not what do you want to gain or what do you want to lose? What do you want to get rid of? What do you want to add in? But what is it on the other side of the sea that your heart desires, that you can see if you squint into the abyss of the next year? What is it that you are hoping for, you are dreaming of, something that you want to happen more than anything in the world? That is our New Year's resolution this year. I would even say that TBJ has a bit of a New Year's resolution, because as the clock strikes midnight into 2023, TBJ will be entering our 175th year of existence. Now, our date of incorporation isn't until October, so we still have a few more months, but we will begin celebrating the incredible and historic legacy of our congregation. Many of you have been there for just a few decades, but lots of you also know the stories of how it is that we got to be sitting in this chapel 175 years after a group of Jews, fresh off the boat, decided to incorporate, to bring us together. There will be a lot to celebrate in this year. There will be a lot to mark. There will be opportunities for you to tell your stories. But this is going to be a big year for our congregation. 2023, probably a year that those who started it back in 1848 couldn't even have dreamed of 1923, or not to mention 2023. But I'll tell you that our congregational's resolutions, I think, are staying the same, which is to bring us together, to find a common purpose, to help us talk when all the world says, don't talk to people who are different than you. We keep saying, yep, come here and do that. To find ways to light up the darkness and to learn and to gather and to celebrate and to hold each other when life is hard, and to do it over and over and over again, no matter what. I hope this is a year where all of your heart's desires come true, where that unburdening of your heart, the tiny seeds of whatever it is you are planting, we will get to reap the plants of in warmer and lighter months to come. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to return to our prayer books to conclude our service with Aleinu on page 282. And I need Aleinu. And as I open the ark, I'm going to invite everyone to please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol latet gedula leut rishit shelo asanu uyai haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama shelo samcha v'nukahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korin umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'hayah We now come to words of Mourners Kaddish. These words honor the lives of those in our families and our communities who we have lost. If you hear the name of someone you are remembering and you're so inclined, we invite you to rise. At the conclusion of all of the names I will share, I'll ask the entire congregation to rise to share in words of Kaddish together. In the period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning, we remember Dorothy Janoff, grandmother of Stephanie and Howard Vogel, JC and Kenny Dean, great-grandmother of Graham, Blake, Kira, Austin, and Landon. We are saddened to announce the passing of Arnold Skip Rose, mother of Ellen and Howard Rose, whose service will be this coming Monday. And we are saddened to announce the passing of Dr. Hartley Stephen Spat, uncle of our own Rabbi Matthew D. Gewirtz, great uncle of Jake, Talia, and Sadie, whose service will be this coming Sunday. We remember those in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning. We remember Carolyn Leibowitz, Richard J. Kogan, Jerome Schultz, Rosemary Casey Starkman, and William K. Lavin. And on their anniversary of passing this Shabbat, their yahrzeit, we remember Julian Basson, Goldie Beck, Marilyn Beltz, Alfred Berger, Terry D. Berkeley, Benzion Bleiberg, Mildred Burns, Hyman Coleman, Evelyn Carter, Meyer W. Coffey, Sadie Davis, Louis Dreskin, Jacob Doltz, Madeline Eisenberg, Ida K. Feldman, Francis Feldman Hillman, Sarah Fink, Bernard Fisher, Morris H. Garfunkel, Shirley Goldsmith, Dr. Harry Greenbaum, Richard Stanley Green, our own Rabbi, Barry H. Green, Henry Harold Halpern, Bennett Harris, Estelle Rosalind Hyman, Annette Helfman, Carrie Strauss Holzner, David H. Jameson, Abraham Jordan, Ruth Kahn, Jack Kaplan, Bess K., Alexander King, Rose Hemmendinger Levine, Dr. Isidore G. Liss, Morris L. Lebowit, Karen Zissou, Magidson, Henrietta Mandelbaum, Solomon Matz, Lawrence Barry Mink, Israel Nagrod, Jacob Daniel Nussbaum, Sydney M. Osterweil, Meyer Posner, Alfred Dreyfus Rockland, Dr. William Radow, Ruth Freed Rose, Moses Rose, Sophia G. Samuels, Paul Sandler, David M. Satz Jr., Cecilia Skaratowski, Hattie Schaefer, Hannah Schoen, Arthur Schwartz, Simon M. Seeley, Samuel Schiffman, Sylvia S. Silpy, William Sire, Milton Spitz, Lieutenant Alan Gale Steinberg, Robert E. Steiner, Evelyn Untracht, Eli M. Erdang, Etta Weinstein, Paul Weisenfeld, Herman S. Wiseman, Mildred Lester Wexler, and Rhea Van Ryn. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may each of their memories be for a blessing. Page 294, we rise for words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha brichu, la'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amin ram be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to people everywhere. As together we say, amen. Please be seated. Just a couple of quick announcements. Tomorrow morning, Torah study will be at the same time, 8:45. It will only be on Zoom. This is similar to last week, so you can see my smiling face tomorrow morning at 8:45 on your computer screens, where we'll be studying the Parsha and, of course, having a chance to say Kaddish together immediately following class. So that's 8:45 on Zoom. The link is in your email and also on the website, so please feel free to join us. You will see a lot of things coming up. We are in a little bit of a pause, a Shabbat of the end of the year, but you're going to see on the right side of your orders of worship lots of things happening this coming January, and a lot of things that you want to save the date for. So please make sure you do so because we have a really exciting year ahead. It is not my bat mitzvah, but I am going to make the kiddush because I'm the only one here. Thought that was going to get a better laugh. Yeah. So immediately following, we'll join together for some oneg outside. I think I'll do this a cappella too. We'll just. Pedro's been very generous with me tonight, helping me stay on key. So we're on page, I believe, 5, if you'd like to follow along or you'd like to sing along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lamikra'ei kodesh zecher letziad Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen. We're going to conclude with a nigun, wishing each other a Shabbat Shalom. You'll sing all along with me. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We will see you next year. Shabbat Shalom.